So you have been thinking of moving to Kitchener and you're wondering and asking yourself, hey, what are some of the neighborhoods that I should avoid moving to? That's what this video is about. Today, we are going to talk about some of the neighborhoods in Kitchener that are worth avoiding if you can. Now, neighborhood is a subjective topic, and I do understand that. So in this video, rather, we will try to stay objective. I've actually pulled some data, which I will share with you as we go through this video, things such as the crime rates in those neighborhoods, employment rates, as well as the household income. All these are some of the factors that arguably can make any neighborhood good or not so good. So we're gonna lay out that to you candidly. So stick around as you get right into it. Hello and welcome. If this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Kitchener, Cambridge and Waterloo, then subscribe below and tap on the bell for notification so you can be the first to learn about the current market in Kitchener and surrounding towns. My name is Dharmik Dixit. I'm a local real estate agent serving Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo and surrounding areas. I do get calls, texts, emails from people just like yourself pretty much every single day who reach out looking for help making their move to Kitchener and surrounding towns, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're thinking of moving in 9 days or 90 days, be sure to give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or hey, you can even schedule a Zoom call. All the info right in the description below. I'll be more than happy to help you make a smooth move to Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo, and surrounding towns. Alright, so the first one on my list is the Chandler Mowat, and this is the neighborhood kind of west of the Laurentian Hills neighborhood. Now, we are bordering Highway 7 on one end, on the west end. Then you have, Ottawa Street South on the east end, and you have Fisher-Harmon Road and the Strasbourg Road on the other end, north and south. Now, talking about this neighborhood and why it actually did end up on my list for being not so popular, let's talk about the crime rate. If I were to look at this neighborhood versus the rest of Kitchener, you're looking at, on an average, 40% higher than average crime rate here in Kitchener. Now, when it comes to the violent crimes, it's even worse. It's as high as 50% higher than the rest of the city. So, the crime rate is pretty high compared to the city average. Also, let's talk about the household income and the employment rate. And on an average, the household income in Chandler Mowat is just under $50,000 versus the rest of Kitchener is close to $80,000, actually just over $80,000. So as you can see, the household income is, and this is the household income, I'm not talking about individual income. So it's much lower than the rest of the city. And the unemployment rate is close to 6% as of right now. I've actually included the link for all the data that I'm pushing here through this video. So feel free to check out the link where you will see the website from which I pulled this data, and you can absolutely dig in by yourself as well. One of the other fact I do want to point out is, close to 12% of the people in this neighborhood make less than $20,000 as a household income. And 75% of the occupants in the real estate, when it comes to the real estate in this neighborhood, are the renters. So that also, when we talk about, what we call pride of ownership in any particular neighborhood, it does go hand in hand with the quality of the neighborhood. So with this particular neighborhood, 3 out of 4 households are renters. Now, that's basically what it is. On a brighter side, if you were really looking for a good real estate deal, the average price point in this neighborhood compared to the rest of Kitchener is going to be far lower. I was looking at average price point of around $305. Again, keep in mind that's an average, versus the rest of Kitchener well over $500,000 as an average price point or a median price for a real estate as in Kitchener as a whole, versus this neighborhood, like I said, just over $300,000. So these are some of the key facts, and like I said, we are going to stick to the objectivity. I'm not going to talk more about the neighborhood. One thing I would recommend is, if this is the one you were actually considering and now you're having second thoughts, or if you want to find it out yourself, I always tell my clients, and for you as well, always drive into the neighborhood. Like, see, maybe pull over in the plaza over there, grab a coffee and sit down for a couple hours if you can. See what kind of crowds do you get, what kind of activities, what kind of cars do you see go by. All those things, what you see from the visible naked eye cannot be denied, and that's what the kind of vibe and the feel you get from a particular neighborhood. And we can all feel that when you're in a good neighborhood versus not so good, or where you feel like, oh, hey, I don't want to get into any trouble. That's the kind of neighborhood. And if you are in one of those, you will find out. So I'll say always drive by, maybe spend some time and find it out yourself before you jump into any neighborhood, especially if that's the one you're not too familiar with. Right, so the second one on my list today is the Cedar Hill neighborhood, and this is the one you're located more so around the center of Kitchener, close to the downtown area, and it's actually bordered by Charles Street on one end, which does take you to the downtown Kitchener. Let's talk about this neighborhood and why it did make it to my list. And like I said, we'll stick to the numbers. One, the unemployment rate and the people in the labor force is pretty much at par with the rest of the town when it comes to that. However, the median household income in this particular neighborhood is just shy of $44,000 versus the rest of the Kitchener median household income coming to an average of over $80,000. So you can see it's almost half as the rest of the city. When it comes to the crime rate, Cedar Hill is actually not any better. I mean, average crime rate here in Cedar Hill is about 40% higher compared to the rest of Kitchener. But when I talk about the violent crimes, it's about 50% higher than the rest of the city. So that does tell you about, why it may not be considered safe for a lot of families. Also, let's talk about the real estate side and, again, that pride of ownership. The, 73%, close to 72.9 to be exact, are the number of households who are renters in this neighborhood versus only close to, 1/4 of the population actually own the place here. Now, average real estate price point in Cedar Hill is just shy of $400,000 versus the rest of Kitchener. Average price point is close to like $530,000. So, again, you will get a good deal in real estate, but the question you should be asking yourself is, hey, do I still want to move in? Is it still worth considering as a neighbor? And those are the facts that I just laid out. So, do your own research. Like I said, again, drive by, get an idea, get a feel about the neighborhood. You'll also find a lot of student population in this neighborhood for the fact that there's an LRT connectivity and a good public transit connectivity in this neighborhood. So a lot of renters are actually a lot of student population living in this neighborhood. So that's a little bit about Cedar Hill. The next one on my list is the downtown Kitchener. And this one obviously is self-explanatory. Basically, you're looking at that core of the city area, downtown area. And ironically though, the unemployment rate is actually lower than the city average. Number of people, engaged in the labor force is actually higher than the city average. So it's actually better. So, however, if you look at the median household income, you're looking at just shy of $55,000 on an average in the downtown Kitchener neighborhood versus the rest of Kitchener. Average is close to $81,000. Now, on the other hand, let's look at the crime rate. Average crime rate in this neighborhood is about 35% higher than that of the city average. To add to that, let's look at the violent crimes. The number of violent crimes is actually far higher. If I look at in numbers, there are about 1,079 number of violent crimes on an average reported in Kitchener in any given period of time, versus here in this neighborhood, you're looking at well over 1,400 number of violent crimes reported in the neighborhood. So actually close to 40% higher than that of the city average. Now, you might think what might be contributing to some of those positive factors about the unemployment rate and those labor force numbers. Well, the downtown area, as understandably, there are a lot of new condo developments happening, and it has happened over the past few years. So you will see a good mix of also those young working professionals renting out those condos. So it's definitely getting better. What you might see, it's that small town downtown is where you always see like higher than average crime rates and those things. But I do feel like things are moving on the positive direction for that neighborhood. However, you might want to still consider twice before you make a call to move to this neighborhood, and particularly pay attention to what pocket you actually move in. But the closer you are to those condo developments and the new developments, the better it is. But like I said, those are the factors that are actually contributing to those positive unemployment numbers and the labor force numbers that I mentioned earlier. But hey, always drive around the neighborhood. You will get an idea and the vibe whether that's the one for you or not. Right, so the next one on my list are actually a couple neighborhoods located on the west end of Kitchener, and I'm going to use them combined as a whole because some of the objective numbers and the data I'm going to pull out for them are very identical for both these neighborhoods, and also as a matter of fact, they are located next to each other. So we're looking at Victoria Hills and Cheery Hill. So these two neighborhoods, you're looking at kind of the west end side of Kitchener. Cheery Hills is the one that's more closer to the downtown area, while Victoria Hill is a little bit further away from the downtown. But let's look at some of the numbers. So when it comes to the employment in both these neighborhoods and average household income, when it comes to Victoria Hills, you're looking at under $57,000 versus in Cheery Hill, you're looking at shy of $53,000 on an average median household income. Now, Kitchener average is obviously, we mentioned earlier, just shy of $81,000. And when it comes to the crime rate, both these neighborhoods are on an average reporting 30% higher than the rest of the city average. And when it comes to the violent crimes, it's even worse. I mean, you're looking on an average 35% higher than that of the city average. Now, also let's talk about the real estate side of it. On an average in Victoria Hills, the home price, median price for a home is around $362, but Cheery Hills, it's a little bit better. It's around on an average $406,000 versus Kitchener average, we noted $536,000. So that's a bit about the house, but when it comes to the pride of ownership that goes in the neighborhood, both these neighborhoods are reporting on an average 60% of the households or homes are actually occupied by that of the renters versus the owner-occupied homes. So that's a bit about these two neighborhoods. One of the other things you will note in all these neighborhoods, including the one I just mentioned, is the fact that you will not find a lot of newer construction in majority of this neighborhood. I mean, downtown would be an exception, of course, because you will see a lot of those condo developments. But other than that, if you're looking about houses, you're not going to find a lot of newer construction. So again, if even if you do like some of these neighborhoods and the newer construction is going to be a must-have for you, well, this is going to be a deal breaker. You're definitely not going to consider any of these neighborhoods. So just a food for thought, but let's move on to the next one. And the final one on my list here is the Vanier and Kingsdale neighborhood, kind of located on the east end of Kitchener, bordering highway on two sides of it, while you have Fairway Road bordering this neighborhood on one of the sides on the east side of it. So let's talk about this neighborhood. So when it comes to the crime rate, let's get to it. So on an average, you're looking at 25% higher crime rate than that of the city average. When it comes to the violent crimes, you're looking about 31% higher than that of the city average for Kitchener. When it comes to the household income, you're looking at about $56,000, just shy of that, as an average median household income reported, versus the city average, just shy of $81,000. Now, when it gets interesting is the pride of ownership and the number of renters versus owner-occupied homes. So in this neighborhood, close to 62% of the households and houses are that of the renter-occupied, versus about close to just shy of 38% is that of the owner-occupied. So you have majority of the rented homes in this neighborhood. One of the things I do want to add to this is the fact that you find a lot of student population in this neighborhood for the fact that you have two major transit hubs, Block Line Station and the Fairway Park Mall, which is again an LRT station located basically in this neighborhood. So you'll find a lot of students. Conestoga College is probably just a one-shot bus away. So that's the reason you'll find a lot of students all around this neighborhood. But at the same time, like I said, overall, even an average home price is around $407,000 in this neighborhood versus Kitchener average being $536,000 as mentioned earlier. So these are some of the facts and the data. Like I said, we want to stay objective, not subjective. You can always drive by. On the brighter side though, living here in Vanier and Kingsdale, you will definitely have many close proximity to number of amenities on the Fairway Road, Fairway Park Mall, even the highway, and so many other things. But if you can live with a lot of student population and some of the facts that I mentioned earlier, well, it might be good for you. So if you purely go based on the numbers, these are the neighborhoods that kind of rank on the bottom end of the list of top neighborhoods in Kitchener. However, neighborhood is a very subjective topic, and I do completely understand that. What I always recommend, especially for people like you who are moving from outside of the Kitchener or Waterloo region, is to actually spend some time, especially spend time in the neighborhoods that are on your radar. I can tell you it'll be definitely well worth your time and you will not regret moving in the neighborhood after the fact. But hey, nonetheless, whether you're thinking of moving in 9 days or 9 days, be sure to reach out, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or even schedule a Zoom call. All the info right below in the description. I'll be more than happy to help you make a smooth move to Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo, and surrounding towns. Until next time, well, I do hope to show you around town.